Urban and Regional Studies Center, Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, for giving me the opportunity to make this presentation on Smart City Mission, Guidelines, Challenges, Role of Town and Country Planning Departments and Urban Local Bodies. Before actually, discussing on the salient feature of guidelines, I would like to highlight salient features of country's urbanization. And this slide, you can see the number of towns have increased from 5,161 to 7,933. I mean, you see, this is in the first time in the history of census of India. We have got almost 2,774 towns have been added. And urbanization, if you see the graph, in 1951, the percentage of urban population to the total population, which is known as urbanization, was 17.29%, which increased to 25.71% in 1991. 2001, it increased to 27.81%. And 2011, it's 31.16%. And probably with all projections of United Nations and even Census of India projections, by 2050, half of the country will be living in cities and towns. Perhaps if you see the present number of cities almost touching to 8,000. And by 2050, I think we'll be having 10,000 plus cities and towns. So if you see urban population, that has also increased from 286.10 million to 377 million. Of course, the growth rate is also 31.81%, which is actually more than the total population growth rate. The urban population is increasing at a very rapid rate, so the gap between demand and supply of urban services. Now, actually, we'll come to the population growth if you compare with China and US. Now, you see the Indian population growth. In blue, the line which shown in blue color is population growth of India, whereas the red color shows China's population growth. And if you see the graph between 2025-30, India is going to overtake China in terms of number of population. I mean, you see, you can, if in later when if we can say that we will be proud to be #1 nation in terms of total number of population. Similarly, if you see the growth rate in the graph given below the total population growth rate, Indian urban growth is also going to exceed China's urban growth. You see, by 2030, the growth rate of urban population will be more than the China's urban population, whereas rural in fact, it has already overtaken China's rural population growth rate. The reason for this is that China had been practicing one-child norm, and perhaps because of that, the population growth rate has come down. This table broadly gives the distribution of urban population as per the categories of cities. The total number of cities in census 2011 was 7,933. Among 7,933 cities, 3 were mega cities: class 2 605, class 3 1905, class 4 2233, and so on and so forth. In terms of digital growth rate, you can see that mega cities have shown 14.8% digital growth rate. However, if you see class 4, 5, 6, these cities have shown a very rapid population growth rate during 2001 and 2011. Now this table broadly shows the distribution of urban population among all the states. Starting with, if you see the pink color, there are three union territories and city of Delhi, Chandigarh, Lakshadweep, which have got almost more than 75%. I mean, the leading is Union Territory of Delhi, which has got 97.5% of urban population, followed by Chandigarh, 97.25, and Lakshadweep. However, if you see state-wise, Goa is the highly urbanized state, number one urbanized state in the country, with 62.17% of the population living in cities and towns, followed by Mizoram 51%, Tamil Nadu 48%, Kerala 47%. These are have been categorized as medium urbanized, whereas Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Punjab, they are on the threshold of becoming medium urbanized. But if you see the total urbanization, we have classified as low urbanized, while majority of the states still they are quite low in terms of urbanization. If you see the figures of Assam, Bihar, Himachal Pradesh, they have got less than 20% of urban population living in cities and towns, with Odisha 16.68%, Assam 14%, Bihar 11.3%, and 10.04% Himachal Pradesh. Now, I think few slides I'll be showing what are the major challenges, what are the major problems in terms of access to, minimum basic facilities for the cities and towns. If you see water supply, these figures I have quoted from Census of India, I have taken from Census of India and various publications. In terms of water supply, you can see 29% of the households did not have access to tap water. I mean, it's a quite sizable amount. 71% of urban population has access to water connection and 1 to 6 hours of supply per day. Similarly, if you see about sewerage and sanitation, this is the biggest challenge for our Indian cities. I mean, when we are talking about the smart cities, I mean, before making the city smart, we must know the prevailing problems in all the cities and towns. And if you see, 8.8% of the urban household had no latrines. I mean, we have got almost 70 years of independence. In 70 years, after 70 years, if we say that 8.8% of the urban households do not have any latrine facilities, it's a really worrisome aspect. I mean, almost, you see, 8 million households do not have access to toilets. So that 8 million means almost 80 lakhs households do not have. I mean, that means they don't have any facilities within their premises and they have to resort to open defecation. I mean, it's a really very challenging aspect. Now, 44% of the urban households were connected with underground sewerage, and only 18.2% of the households do not have any drainage facility. I mean, this is also one of the very important aspect, and this is a challenge for all the urban administration and administrators and planners to ensure that all cities must have these kind of facilities. Similarly, as per CPC report, out of about 38,000 MLD of sewage treatment facility exists only for 12,000 MLD. I mean, most of the wastewater being generated in the urban areas are not appropriately treated. And if you see, I mean, this I am quoting the figures for only 35 million plus cities, which was as per 2001 census. Hardly 50% of the treatment capacity exists in 35 million plus cities. And for class 1 cities, around 32% of, is sewage generated. I mean, sewage generated in class 1 has treatment capacity of class 1 cities is around 1153 MLD, which is 32% of the sewage generation. Now, similarly, I mean, the same story also you just know about the solid waste. Around 1,88,550 MT of municipal solid waste is generated daily in the country, and 53 million plus cities. As per 2011, we have got 53 cities with more than 1 million population. Together they generate 86,000 metric ton, around 31.5 million tons per year. And as far as urban transport is concerned, public transport only accounts for 22% of the urban transport. I mean, still cities are struggling. Out of 85 cities with more than 5 lakh population, only 20 cities have dedicated city bus service. I mean, this is also one of the challenge being faced by the cities. And as per census 2011, 52.4 million people lived in slums in 1743 towns, which constitute almost 1/4 of the population of these towns. 1/4 of the population is living in slums. And as far as housing shortage is concerned, National Housing Bank has estimated that shortage of dwelling units in urban areas in 2013 was around 18.8 million, of which 99% pertains to economically weaker section and LIG segment of the urban population. Now, you see, I have 2 or 3 slides. I have focused on the challenges ahead to cover the gap existing in the access to the basic facilities. However, in the past few years, I mean 5-6 years, there has been attempt to make an estimate that how much money would be required to cover the gap. And one of the most important figure, I mean, you must be aware, you must have seen the High Powered Economic Committee report, which has actually estimated that for 20 years period from 2012-13 to 2031-32, rupees 39 lakh crore would be required to plug the gap which I have explained in the previous slides. I mean, it's not so easy to generate 39 lakh crores. If you estimate 39 lakh crores, how we are going to generate this 39 lakh crore would be another challenge. So another 20 lakh crore for operation maintenance of urban utilities for next 20 years and 15 lakh crore for meeting the housing shortage and 60,009 crores for sanitation Swachh Bharat would be required. This is in tabular form I have given, and out of 39 lakh crore you can see how much money would be required for urban roads. I mean, if you want to really overall strengthen our roads for 7,933 cities, you need to have 17.2 lakh crore rupees. It's a huge amount. That's why I have given, in red, like urban roads itself will consume so much of money. Similarly, for water supply also it's a huge amount, followed by sewage and solid waste management. And renewal and redevelopment would also require almost 4 lakh crore rupees. And in order to, I mean, once you go through this table, it is invariably, one can say that in order to ensure efficient management of our urban areas, not only existing deficit in infrastructure and services needs to be addressed, but provision also has to be made for catering to the future needs as well. I mean, in next 20 to 30 years, so many people are going to add to the urban areas, and this will further burden our existing infrastructure. The financing requirements for improving present cities as well as orderly urban growth and expenses are enormous. It will be a huge challenge. And therefore, urban steps are required to address issues relating to strengthening urban governance, capacity building, financing strategies, strategizing urbanization, including spatial patterns, and improving service delivery outcomes. Now, let me come to the launch of Smart City Mission. In fact, you are all aware, I mean, you must have seen various news items, you must have seen various magazines focusing on the launch of Smart City Mission. In fact, Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated Smart City Mission in 2015, and in his speech he highlighted the vision for developing 100 smart cities as satellite towns of larger cities, and by modernizing the existing mid-sized cities with allocation of almost 48,000 crore rupees for 2015 and 20. But what is this concept of smart city? I mean, the guidelines have highlighted that cities, as I mean, the smart city should be envisaged as engine of economic growth. It also dwells on meaning of a smart city. It also mentions about competitiveness, sustainability, and quality of life, pillars of smart city. like institutional infrastructure, physical infrastructure, social infrastructure, and economic infrastructure. I mean, to make a city smart, you need to emphasize on strengthening all these infrastructure, whether it is institutional framework, whether it is your physical infrastructure in terms of water supply, in terms of drainage, in terms of underground sewage, whether if you talk about social infrastructure in terms of health and education facilities, and the economic infrastructure, like how a city can be a generator of economic momentum, how it can really generate economic activities. So, in fact, prior to making the guidelines, Ministry had also circulated a note on smart cities, which had actually mentioned about smart city reference framework as a well-being. A city will be to be called as a well-being equity in terms that all the facilities should be available, all section of society, throughout the city. There should not be any spatial disparities in terms of the availability and access to the basic infrastructure facilities. Further, how efficient are our services? In the smart cities, how efficiently the urban local bodies can really deliver the, and what could be the foresight? How in next 20 years the smart city can really emerge as a vibrant and centers for generating all economic momentum. Now, I mean, there is no universally accepted definition. I mean, you can go through Wikipedia, you can take many sources, there is no one standard definition, or you cannot say that there can be one definition you can define. I mean, every person, can have its own, definition of smart city. Somebody may say that my city must have world-class facilities, physical infrastructure facilities. I mean, I will call my city smart if it gives 24/7 water supply. Or somebody say I must call smart city that it offers, all the services, related to grievances within, say, 2 or 3 days, the problems are solved. And somebody may say that my city should have a world-class education facilities, should have all, universities and colleges which should be at par with the, any global universities. With regard to conceptualization, again, it varies from city to city, country to country, depending on the level of development, willingness to change and reform, willingness to change, and what kind of reform the city should undertake. Resources, resources are always important. I mean, a smart city, really, whether it will really depend on the government sources or whether it will be smart enough to generate its own resources through various, resource mobilization options. And of course, aspirations of city residents, Now, how residents of a city think about his own city? In next 20 years, what could be the, vision for developing the city? Definitely all the cities, I mean, wherever you stay, city will, residents will always say that we need to have best of infrastructure facilities. And I mean, the kind of infrastructure facilities which are available should improve the living standards, These are all, I mean, aspirations of city residents, if somebody wants to discuss. Then a smart city would have a different connotation in India than, say, Europe. Even in India, there is no one way of defining a smart city. I mean, in Europe, there are different, contexts to define the smart city. And in India, depending upon, India is a huge country with vast geographical, variations. I mean, you can have defining, I mean, there cannot be one way of defining. It will vary from city to city. It will be vary from, depending upon the physiographical conditions. One can always come to define a city in its own manner. Now, the guidelines for smart city, it has clearly indicated what should be the features of a smart city, Now, it has, highlighted, I have put in pink color, it will be easy to understand, like promoting mixed land use in area-based developments. Now, in the urban planning, earlier the cities used to have a segregated land use, a rigid segregated land use, you need to, Typically, if you see the land use, you can have, various kind of land uses. But of late, in order to encourage the compactness of city planning and development, there has been a mixed land use. The mixed land use has come, which is essentially, it is as per the requirement of the city, and mixed land use actually, to restrict urban sprawl. And mixed land use will also ensure that people should rather depend on the, either public transport, or they should use non-motor vehicle. So that typically, along the transit corridor, we are talking about the mixed land use development. This is basically to, discourage the use of automobiles. Similarly, another feature is housing and inclusiveness. Like, you need to create housing for each and every section of the society. I mean, it is very, well known that cities like Mumbai, Delhi, or any other metro city, I mean, large extent of population lives in, slum areas, and those slum areas also, require housing. So one of the features is also that you ensure housing for all. Now, create walkable localities. In order to restrict urban sprawl, you need to have, compact city, and need to create walkable localities. You need to create pedestrian pathways, so that people can move with ease. Then there is another important feature, preserving and developing open spaces. Now, this has become really very important task for any urban planner or urban administrator or municipal commissioners, to ensure that city, retain their open spaces. I mean, open spaces will also include, the open green, the playgrounds, especially the lung spaces. You are all well aware that city like Delhi, it has to struggle and contain the pollution. I mean, if you don't have green spaces, Delhi is blessed with the, remnants of Aravallis, which provides lung spaces, which can create oxygen, which has absorbing capacity to, absorb the pollutants. So every city need to preserve and develop the open spaces. Similarly, you need to have promoting a variety of transport options. I mean, the smart city can go for the metro rail. I mean, metro rail can, carry, I mean, at least compared to bus transport, it may be a very expensive option, but at the same time, it can carry, large number of, commuters. I mean, the best example, Delhi, which is now actually almost carrying 2 million persons per day. Now, making governance citizen friendly and cost effective. This is also one of the most important feature of the city, that governance has to come at ease. The citizens should not be unnecessarily harassed. The urban local body should go for, e-governance mode. It should be cost effective, and people should not visit rather the urban local bodies to get their work done. And giving an identity to the city. This is also very important. I mean, in the previous slide I have mentioned about the aspirations of the citizens. I mean, it depends on the citizen how they identify their city. I mean, they should be proud of their city. I mean, you take any example, they may say like Mumbai residents, they may say that we are proud of, very vibrant and livable city. 24 hours the city is on move. Similarly, every city, I mean, there might be number of problems, but wherever the citizens, they are staying in their respective cities, they proud themselves in, understanding their city. And of course, the last very important feature also, smart solutions to infrastructure services in area-based development. I mean, you need to come out with out-of-box thinking, and you need to adopt area-based strategy, and how to overcome the existing deficiency of infrastructure services. You can always, go for area-based development strategies. Now, we have tried to, evolve some sort of a definition, like to conclude with the, smartness of smart cities derives from smart urban planning, governance and management. These three words, urban planning, governance and management, whereby the use of ICT enables measurable efficiency, transparency and accessibility in all aspects of the city, whether it is governance, whether it is provision of basic infrastructure facilities, whatever, whatever efforts have to be made for, retaining the smartness of the city, you need to ensure measurable, everything should be measurable, but whatever services you provide, it has to be measurable, it has to be efficient, and above all, it has to be transparent. And how all citizens need to have access to all the facilities. Now, let me few slides. How the selection process. This was the first time in the entire history of the urban development. City challenge competition was held. I think you are all aware of that because all the newspaper highlighted the how the smart cities selection process went up. Now, citizen selection process has been the idea of cooperative and competitive federalism. This our Honorable Prime Minister has been again and again talking about the competitive federalism. Like state government need to participate in all the programs, and there has to be an element of competition among all the cities. Every city should compete, and they should come up with novel ideas. Similarly, like cities are diverse. I have already mentioned that because of our physiographical conditions, they are diverse. Each city has to construct its idea and vision of the smart city that is aligned to the local context. Selection process follow the challenge method, 2-stage. Broadly, the challenge process was divided into 2 stages. First stage was interstate city competition, interstate city selection on objective criteria to identify cities to compete. The first stage was within the state. And within the state, whichever cities were selected, they qualified for the stage 2 competition. So the stage 1 competition, there were certain parameters on which the competition was held. Each city was supposed to give exiting service levels, like what service level benchmark they have attained, what has been the institutional system, like every city, what kind of institutional framework they have got, whether they have got really capacities to undertake this kind of smart city mission, and whether the cities are really capable of self-financing. Under smart city, the grant which is to be given by central government is very limited. Like every city is going to get around 500 crore rupees. But will it be enough for cities like mega cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, any other million plus cities? So the cities were supposed to give an explanation on self-financing, how capable they are, how capable they are to finance the various projects, and what has been the past track record and reforms. Based on these parameters, the stage 1 competition was held, and it was completed last year itself. By December it was completed, and the stage 2 competition was held at the central level. That was an all India competition to select smart cities for multiple round of selection based on the smart city proposals. Now, all these cities were supposed to submit the smart city proposals. Almost 98 cities, which qualified the first stage, they had submitted smart city proposals. And based on smart city proposals, the second stage competition was held. Now, based on the stage 2 competition, following cities have been identified, which are going to be covered in the 2015-16. And this is purely on competition and on the marks. Bhubaneswar stood first, followed by Pune, Jaipur, Surat, Kochi, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, and so on and so forth until Bhopal. The rest of cities will be covered after April. There will be another round of competition, and hopefully all the 98 cities will be covered by, say, another year. And the cities which have not been able to get selected in the first round have been requested that their proposals should be improved, because there are some lacuna in the proposals and that they were not able to get marks, and then they have been advised to improve their proposals. Now these are all, if you talk about smart city proposals, the cities were supposed to, formulate its own concept, vision, strategy, plan, proposal that is appropriate to their own local context. And the proposal should have contained area-based development plans and pan-city initiatives. And the proposal has to be collaborated as the objectives and funds of all government departments, parastatals, private agencies, and the citizens, which have to be developed during the process of preparing the SCPs. Almost 88 cities, smart city proposals, one can go through this mygov.in /home/ discuss. I mean, you must be aware, you must have also seen this, presentations of all the smart city proposals, and these were all done basically through consulting firms. And how the mission is going to be operationalized. Now the 20 cities have been identified, and rest 78 cities will also be identified later on. However, there is a to operationalize this vision, there's an apex committee at the central government level, at the Ministry of Urban Development level, which is be headed by Secretary UD, and it has got members like Secretary Housing, Secretary Expenditure, Joint Secretary, Director, NIUA, Chief Planner, TCPO, and select Principal Secretaries of the state members. And the apex committee role will be to monitor the overall progress of smart city mission. Likewise, at the state level, there is a state level high powered steering committee chaired by the chief secretary, which would steer the mission program in its entirety. So it has also got various representation, and this high power steering committee will be assisted by city advisory council. Each city has to constitute city advisory council, which will time to time shall assist and advise the high power steering committee. And every city, this is a part of operationalization, how it is going to be operationalized. Every city has to constitute an SPV, which will plan, appraise, approve, release funds, implement, manage and operate, monitor and evaluate all the smart city development projects. And each smart city will have SPV, I have already mentioned, and it will be headed by a full-time CEO. The states and ULB shall ensure that a dedicated and substantial revenue stream is made available to SPV. I mean, the substantial revenue would be available for SPV, and government contribution for smart city will be used only to create infrastructure that has public benefit outcomes. And the execution of projects may be done through joint ventures, subsidiaries, public-private partnership, turnkey contracts suitably dovetailed with the revenue streams. These have been highlighted in the smart city guidelines. Now, strategies, I will spend further few minutes. I've got another, say 25 minutes. Now, strategies, the guidelines have highlighted three kind of, area-based strategies. One is retrofitting. Retrofitting is basically to make the existing area more efficient and livable. An area consisting of more than 500 acres has to be identified by the city in consultation with the city. I mean, retrofit, any existing, even the city core area or any, central part of the city which has actually been worn off, which has been, in quite bad shape, in terms of, the quality of building or the quality of infrastructure. Those kind of, infrastructure can be retrofitted, and the minimum area will be 500 acres. And another strategy would be redevelopment, that is replacement of the existing built-up environment and enable co-creation of a new layout with enhanced infrastructure using mixed land use and increased density. Now, redevelopment, it depends on the urban local body, what kind of area they really want to redevelop. For example, if you can, I'll give you example of LBZ area, which is, very low-rise, low-density area in New Delhi area, Luton Bungalow zone, but it has got a lot of, dilapidated structures, which can be, replaced, which can be redeveloped, depending upon the norms and standards of that particular area. So, redevelopment envisages an area of more than 50 acres. Identify the urban local bodies in consultation of citizens. Now, you see, all the proposals have to be done in consultation of the citizens. In fact, the smart city proposals, which when they were submitted to the ministry, a lot of stakeholder consultations have undertaken. I mean, the citizen participation is an essential component of the smart city. And greenfield, the two I have already mentioned, retrofit and redevelopment. And the third strategy is greenfield. I mean, city can identify any vacant area, maybe more than 250 acres, and using innovative planning, plan financing, and plan implementation tools like land pooling, land reconstitution, with provision of affordable housing, especially for poor. I mean, any greenfield town development can be envisaged. However, it has to also, focus on the affordable housing. It's not that with greenfield development you are going to cater to the higher income, group of the society. The urban local body has to take, appropriate action for providing housing for urban poor. These three strategies are essentially area-based strategies. While pan city, the smart city guidance also focus on the pan city, solutions, which envisage application of selected smart solutions to the existing city-wide infrastructure. Now, wherein application of smart solutions will involve the use of technology, information, and data to make infrastructure services better. I mean, pan city solutions, I'll be, telling more about this in another slide, which has, the guidelines have clearly mentioned about. Here, the role of, information technology will be very crucial. How you are going to control your, urban infrastructure services with the help of IT, that will be the, challenge for all the urban local bodies. Now, I have to, I'm just speaking for almost 35 minutes, I have been speaking. So let us give some example of, urban rejuvenation, how in other parts of the world, things have taken place, in the redevelopment or retrofitting. Now you just see this slide. On the left side of the slide, there is a Cheongan River, in Seoul. During 1950s, you just see the photograph. It's in black and white, it's also given in the Wikipedia. Now you see how it is just like any typical slum of India. See, in 1950s, what was the scenario? Now, how it has gone dramatic transformation, just see on the right side. And in fact, I was fortunate enough to visit this area. And now you see how this dirty river has been transformed into a absolutely, recreation area. This area is one of the most beautiful place passing through the central areas of Seoul, and has become very lively, very vibrant, and lot of people, they come, they come for recreation, they come for picnic, they come for, leisure. And you see the quality of water also, it has been drastically improved. And if I read this sentence, in 3, the elevated highway was transformed into a multifunctional contemporary linear park. The project is not just a restoration, but a rejuvenation, The entire river was rejuvenated. And for example, if you see in our context, if you see the Yamuna River, how that river has been transformed, it has been rather transformed into a dead river, where it just in the peak summer season, it looks like a, big nala, where a lot of, of course, now, lot of, efforts are being done to, rejuvenate the river. And now, this project, the river restoration project has actually added the quality of life in terms of flood protection, in terms of enhancement of biodiversity, reduce heat island effect, and also reduce pollution. Now, this was only possible because of huge, efforts made by the mayor of Seoul, who went on to become the president of South Korea. And it was only his efforts, and he took lot of, pains and lot of stakeholder consultations to make this project successful. Anybody if gets chance, if somebody has already must have visited, or if somebody gets a chance to visit Seoul, he or she must see this area. That's a perfect example of, rejuvenation. Now, urban redevelopment, some of the photographs I have given, typically in Paris and New York, how it was before and how it was after retrofitting, how the pedestrian, earlier, if you see that the pedestrian pathway had a lot of, hindrances, there was no smooth movement. Now, if you see, typical in Paris, how smooth the access has been given to a pedestrian. You can just walk. Similarly, you see there's another photograph which shows the total retrofitting, how it has done. And in New York also, how you see the traffic was very much, unregulated kind of thing. Whereas after retrofitting, how the First Avenue implements, New York City, how it has now, you can see. Similarly, you must also give some good examples of our country also. So this is also urban redevelopment. In the presentation on Bendi Bazaar urban redevelopment was also made, in the inaugural ceremony of the smart city mission, and you can see that how it was before and now how it is. The transit building it has come, and project area has also been delineated, and how it will after complete redevelopment how it will look like. This is that area is also known as Saifi Burhani Upliftment Project, which has actually, which covers 16.5 acres of land in a densely populated area of Old Mumbai. And see how they also made this trust also made a lot of efforts to convince the people living there, and they have been provided, dwelling units in the multi-story apartments. Now, this is also Government of India, this we have got Directorate of Estates where, through National Building Construction Corporation, they have gone totally for, redevelopment. This is demolishing the earlier East Kidwai, which is, East Kidwai Nagar is a area where all government quarters, low-rise, low development, low-rise, low-density quarters were there. Now they have been demolished, and totally, high-rise, high-density development has been envisaged by National Building Construction Corporation, and it is under construction. And you can see that all the provisions have also been made, including the schools, local shopping center, banquet hall. And this is one of the important, project of, National Building Construction Corporation, which is implementing this project. And these are the details of, redevelopment, like plot areas, 86 acres, ground coverage, permissible 33%, office space. In fact, to ensure the sustainability of project, it has the project is also going to create office space and commercial area. Around almost 1 lakh square meter would be devoted for commercial and the office space, where Director of Estates can generate a lot of revenue. And proposed number of houses is around 4,747. So this has been divided into various types of the types of the residential quarters. This another Sabarmati riverfront in Ahmedabad is also a very good example. How it was previous. Now how this entire riverfront has become very vibrant, and the objectives of multi-dimensional project for Sabar riverfront was threefold: environmental improvement overall, reduction in erosion and flood to safeguard the city, sewage diversion to clean the river. At the same time, social infrastructure, also rehabilitation and resettlement of riverbed dwellers, and activities, creation of parks and public places, and sustainable development, generation of resources, revitalization of neighborhoods. I mean, you must be aware of this. These are the good examples which can be adopted by cities also. This is also another, example how, the old Ahmedabad city was revitalized, and it has also, if you see the plan, there's plenty of, provision for pedestrian and non-motorized, traffic initiatives. And this is also, one of the best example of old city revitalization can be adopted for other cities also. And greenfield development, I think everybody is aware of, Gujarat International Finance Tech City, which is a greenfield city. And, it's still in an infant stage. It will take some time to develop. And it is going to become a very important, financial hub of Western India. I mean, it may compete, once it is completely developed, it may become, a very leading commercial hub of the Western India. And in fact, it is based on all modern urban planning principles. These, slides, the retrofit, I mean, these slides actually tells about how to go about retrofitting, what sort of you should make in order to ensure retrofitting. I'll not go into details because, there will be less time will be left for discussion or answering your questions. But it gives, details that how you need, I mean, you need to delineate the area, you need to collect data, prepare the GIS-based map and incorporate all the GIS-based information, need to have public, participation, need to have CIP and FOP, you need to have detailed, these information, costs, schematic, phasing, investment, identify PPP, any private player which is interested, then also identify the benefit and impact assessment of the proposals. Then you need to also have, monitoring mechanism. Similarly, for city renewable redevelopment also, you need to conduct delineation of the project area, you need to collect data, need to map appropriately the entire redevelopment area, which could be part of a master plan or local area plans of the city, need to have stakeholder consultations, and I mean, the redevelopment plan has to be in accordance with the master plan or zonal plan, overall objectives. The plan must be formatted with viable options of land assembly and land monetization. And the layout plan must be prepared, clearly showing the utilities, linkages and connectivity, including phasing for relocation and resettlement if it involves. Then, of course, it also need to have CIP and FOP and need to have benefit and impact assessment. And of course, greenfield development, it will be typically, for any kind of a new sub-township, need to have delineation and accordingly, the preparation of suitable greenfield plan, it need to have emerging provisions of TOD, focus on new and renewable energy, disaster management, structural safety, and the layout plans duly showing all the utilities, linkages and connectivity. And of course, public partition would also be there. You need to also prepare CIP, FOP. And then, need to have a very strong monitoring mechanism of the greenfield or for that matter, any kind of tree area-based strategies. Now, Pan City need to have application of smart solutions to citywide infrastructure. Development envisage application of selected smart solution to the existing citywide infrastructure. Need to use technology informed data to make infrastructure and services better. For example, applying smart solutions in transport sector, intelligent traffic management system, and reducing average commute time or cost to citizens will have positive effects on productivity and quality of life. This, one of the smart solution could be. Now, these are the various smart solutions, which will have to be, have a pan city, implications. I mean, for e-governance, citizen services, all the urban local bodies can, go for this. Then you need to have energy management, need to, shift focus on renewable sources of energy. Water management, it's a very important thing. Most of the cities have a lot of T&D losses, but with the use of smart meters, leakage identification, rainwater harvesting, lot of, smart solutions can be thought of. Similarly, for social infrastructure like telemedicine, teleeducation, incubation, trade facilitation center, skill development center, waste management, it's also almost, new areas being immersed in the waste management. You need to focus on zero waste management. You need to focus on reduce and recycle of waste, whether it is solid waste, whether it is liquid waste. I mean, that these lot of things are coming. Then above all, decentralized solid waste management. In fact, decentralized wastewater treatment also. I mean, some of the cities are thinking about this rather than making huge capital investment for centralized STPs and solid waste processing plant. One can always think of treating the both liquid and solid waste at the neighborhood level itself. It will also the cost of setting up of decentralized solid and liquid waste management plants would be quite less than the centralized one. And of course, urban mobility, which is also, I mean, without mobility, a city cannot survive. So one has to think of TOD, you can think of smart ticketing, ITM, integrated multimodal transport, last mile connectivity. I mean, this is the most, if you achieve last mile connectivity, any city, if it achieve last mile connectivity, I can straight away say that is the most smart city. And that too, you don't have to depend on the personal vehicles. If public transport is there, backed up by a very efficient paratransit system, one can always, the city can always think of last mile connectivity. And the city which provides last mile connectivity, personally, I feel that is the most smart city. And of course, smart parking is also one of them. And then urban amenities, open spaces, I have already mentioned, the cities need to retain the, open spaces, playgrounds, parks, which provide, vital lung spaces and which are also important places for recreation. Now, monitoring, Apex committee I have already mentioned, it will review the proposals submitted by the panel, evaluated by the panel of experts. After the stage 2, I have mentioned that 20 cities have been selected, but the remaining 78 cities, they have to revisit their proposals and that will be further evaluated. And Apex committee will also approve and recommend the release of funds based on the progress in the implementation. Of course, you see, the smart city has become a buzzword or a catchy word in these days, and people think that it will be, within 2-3 years, you will see that all the cities will be converted to smart cities. It's not like that. It will take time. It's not. It may take 10 years. It may take 15 years. If you go for the area-based strategy, it may take 10 to 15 years to overcome the deficit of urban infrastructure. But however, there is a provision of mid-course. So if something goes wrong. So after 2.5 years or 3 years, Ministry of Urban Development can think of, what steps to be taken to, overcome all any, if things go haywire. So what corrections you need to take, that will be, definitely mid-course correction will also be done. And undertake quarterly review of activities. Of course, Ministry of Urban Development will be quarterly reviewing all the progress, mission. Now, in fact, the title of the presentation also says that what could be the role of town and planning departments and urban local bodies. In fact, I have mentioned that all the directors and chief town planners of the states are the member of high-powered committee at the state level. In fact, they must have provided inputs to the proposals, and they have got a very important role. And you see, area-based strategies based on special planning, role of town planners assume much significance and strategies need to emanate from the proposal of master plan of the smart city concern. Whatever master plan or statutory plan makes the proposal, how it can be, dovetail with the, the smart city proposals. I mean, this only a town planner can tell. Personally, what I view that a town planner can always, contribute to the area-based strategies. And the urban local bodies will have to work in tandem with the special purpose vehicle. Special purpose vehicle have been or have to be constituted. And ULBs, ULBs will be having 50-50, equity shareholding. So they have to work together. It is not that special purpose vehicle has been constituted and it will work on its own. ULB and special purpose vehicle will have to work together in order to, make this mission successful. Now, state town planning departments can effectively participate in monitoring of the mission with regard to area-based strategies. Now, the cities, you can see in my.gov.in that a lot of, presentation on the proposals have been made. for all these cities. But at the same time, the town planning department always, monitor how the area-based strategies are being implemented. What sort of strategies have been recommended, whether it is retrofit, whether it is redevelopment or greenfield. Personally, I view that the state town planning departments have got very important role, and they can always monitor the area-based strategies and can always suggest how the area strategies have to be effectively implemented. Next, both state town planning department and urban local bodies can always facilitate in benchmarking the basic level services. Once you have proposal, now the objective of the proposal should be how you are going to attain the benchmarking. Like Ministry of Urban Development, they have come up with the service level benchmark. But every city should know where it stands today, and after the implementation of Smart City Mission, where it is going to, what benchmark it is going to attain. It is not possible. One city, you take any city, it may say that, okay, it will take in next 5 years, it will ensure 24/7, water supply, but it may not be possible. It may not be 24/7, but it can say that 10/7. It can, give 10 hours of water supply. But that depends on both urban local bodies and state town planning departments. They need to assess, they need to, implement in such manner that city is in a position to attain the benchmark. Like both state town planning departments and urban local bodies must or need to actively involve themselves in ensuring GIS based master plan. Now let me tell you, there will be another lecture on tomorrow on the GIS based master plan for Amrit Mission cities. So Amrit Mission, all class 1 cities, all cities with more than 1 lakh population are going to prepare GIS based master plan. The moment you say GIS based master plan, automatically one can say that state town planning department and urban local bodies will have very important role, in preparing the GIS based master plan. For all class 1 cities, including the smart cities, they have to prepare master plan based on GIS technology, and they should also ensure that within 4 years, as per the reforms highlighted in Amrit Mission, they need to prepare within 4 years. But that 4 years, can be further reduced. 48 months have been given or 4 years have been given. But this can, but with the all remote sensing and GIS technology, the master plan, can be prepared expeditiously. Within 1 to 2 years they can do the work. And hopefully with the, use of GIS technology for smart cities, we feel that at least, the unauthorized development or haphazard development can be effectively controlled. And in fact, with GIS based master plan, the monitoring as well as enforcement, you can monitor, but if you don't have effective enforcement, then there is no, use of, master plan. If you have a very, I will not say very stiff, strict. Okay, strict enforcement if you have, then the objectives of master plan can very well be achieved, and also objectives of the smart cities as well. Now, what could be the challenges ahead? We have come, the Ministry of Urban Development have come up with the smart cities. It is also, this Amrit Mission is also has been launched. Now, what could be the challenges ahead? This is area-based strategies, few examples and local area preparation. In Delhi, there has been an experience of preparing the local area plan. Some others, like Pune, they have, tried. But large number of cities, they have not at all, taken up exercise. So hence, it is my apprehension that area-based strategies may have some difficulty in, implementation. If the city had prepared local area plan, then it would be easy to, implement the area-based strategies. And huge expectation of citizens. Every citizen, even if you see the outcome of the stakeholder consultation, every citizen has got its vision. And to fulfill the expectation of the citizen, it would be a huge task for all the urban administrators and urban planners. Now, Pan City initiatives with the IT application as technology advances, easy to implement. It may be easy to implement, but to implement throughout the city, that will also be an very big challenge. If half of the city is under unauthorized development or slums, it would be quite difficult to, implement. Then convergence, the guidelines say that the convergence has to ensure, Swachh Bharat Mission, Housing for All Mission, Amrit scheme, they should go together. And there has to be convergence and in order to achieve the overall objectives of all these missions. Now, of course, there will be capacity building issues. Uh, whether all the, smart cities, do they have adequate capacity to, implement the area-based strategies? This is also a very big question mark. Of course, it will be a challenge. Then intra-city disparities. Disparities within the city. Say, for example, area-based strategy, city identifies certain areas, but they forget about other areas. So this may lead to intra-city disparities in access to basic facilities. It may also lead to some sort of discontentment among the, elected councillors, the councillors who are in ULBs, elected municipal councillors, and there may be, a lot of difference of opinion. So these are all apprehension. Leveraging fund through PPP, like how many, private participants will come. Because I have already mentioned that one city is going to get 500 crores rupees in 5 years. But 500 crores for mega cities or million plus cities would not be enough. Then how much funds are going to be generated by ULB itself and how much through participation of private sector, that has to be seen in coming years. It will be a very big challenge. Then land for greenfield development. Now these days land acquisition is a very big, challenge. More and more urban administrators and planners, they are feeling that we just cannot acquire. With the LARR, being in force, it will be quite difficult to acquire the land. Rather, acquiring the land through land acquisition, it is better to find other options through land pooling or through, other, reconstitution techniques. So it will be up to the urban local body how they are going to do this. That has to be really seen, and I consider it as another very big challenge to get land for greenfield development. Now, way forward, few sentences I have made that massive investment envisaged in the next 5 years shall to large extent enable the urban local bodies to strengthen the infrastructure base and make the cities livable. Smart cities covered must extract maximum benefit through cooperative federalism. The urban local bodies need to demonstrate competence to implement their objectives. Now, this competition which was, done, now we should encourage all the cities to participate, and all cities should demonstrate their competence. Smart cities should ultimately emerge as generator of economic activities. I have already mentioned, with new options of revenue generation. They should come with innovation. They should see how to maximize the resources, either through, property taxation or 100% coverage of, property taxation. Then other user charges, how they can collect and how they can optimize those things. Then smart cities must come with out-of-box thinking, with emphasis on down-up approach, locally appliance, adopting decentralized wastewater. I have already mentioned. Open defecation fee. If smart cities, if you find that after 5 years, some 20% of the population still, defecating in open, will defeat the purpose of the mission. Of course, smart cities with convergence with the Swachh Bharat should, make open defecation fee. Then relaxation of FAR, FSI, that is also to be one of the solution to not only generate the resources and then also go towards redevelopment, redensification. Then these things I have already mentioned, but one sentence I would like to mention: efforts for paperless, contactless, and cashless way of working. This the urban local bodies must ensure, and this will also go in terms of ease of doing business. Then reform agenda to be pursued proactively, streamlining the regulatory frameworks. These have to be simplified and it has to be put on fast track. Then adherence to regulations, governance by incentives, not by enforcement, not by say that some sort of clauses that you will totally demolish the project or the houses or any buildings. Rather, it has to be driven through incentives. Now, need to expedite the preparation of master plan as early as possible. That is one of the, condition to be, adhered to. Ensuring compactness of city through various mobility options. Now another challenge will be, of course, smart cities. All the 98 cities, they have master plan, but just I have, for your kind information, I have made this sentence that out of 7933 we have got only 2558 cities having master plan. So in another 5 years we expect that at least 4041 statutory towns must have the, master plans. So, in conclusion, I would like to highlight one sentence which has been given by Jane Jacobs. It's a famous American sociologist. Cities have the capability of providing something for everybody only because and only when they are created by everybody. When everybody involve himself or herself for city building, then only city becomes, livable. Then only city will become a dynamic entity. With this sentence, I would like to thank each and everyone for your kind intention and for your kind patience to listen to me.